What's up, everybody? So theglobeandmail.com has just posted a new article about the missing children from Nova Scotia, Lilly and Jack Sullivan. Lilly is 6 years old and Jack is 4 years old. I keep doing videos about this situation, about this story, because I fully believe that this needs to stay front and center for as long as possible, for as long as it takes to find out where Lilly and Jack are, to find out what happened to them, to find out if it's an isolated incident with these two kids. Kids going missing, obviously, is not an isolated incident, but to see if people in the area need to be worried about anything. Like, it needs to stay on the front page of the news everywhere until these children are brought home or until it's found out what exactly happened to Lilly and Jack Sullivan. It has been 3 weeks since two young children were reported missing from their home in Nova Scotia, and police have yet to say if they found any evidence pointing to their whereabouts. Police say they believe 6-year-old Lilly Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack wandered away from their home in Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia, early on May 2nd, 2025. The RCMP have confirmed receiving a 911 call on that day at 10 a.m. During the next 5 days, an extensive search was conducted by as many as 160 trained volunteers who were joined by tracking dogs, helicopter crews, and police using aerial drones equipped with heat-seeking technology. The search covered more than 5 square kilometers of the hilly, heavily wooded terrain around where they live, which is about 140 kilometers northeast of Halifax. But on May 7th, the search was scaled back as the RCMP announced there was little chance the siblings could have survived in the woods for that long. Let's not forget that Jack, who's 4 years old, was out there in just boots and a pull-up diaper. Later that day, on May 7th, Daniel Robert Martel, who has described himself as the missing children's stepfather, told the Canadian press he had voluntarily attended a 4-hour interview with major crime investigators. I've been 100% cooperating, he said in an interview at the time. I gave them my phone, I offered drug tests, I offered them lie detector tests. The Mounties say they searched ponds and streams around Lansdowne Station on May 8th and May 9th, and on May 13th, the Mountie said some of the children's relatives were among those identified for formal interviews. By that time, the RCMP said investigators have received more than 180 tips from the public, and officers had identified 35 people to formally interview, including residents of the local community. Police have reportedly said there is no evidence to suggest the children were abducted. If that's not the case, if the children weren't abducted, you would think they would find something with all of the equipment, the drones, the dogs, the helicopter, the people. They would find, I mean, the woods here. I also live in Nova Scotia. The woods here they're super dense, they're super thick, so I get how difficult it is there would be to spot something, but maybe it's just wishful thinking or hopeful thinking that with as much stuff as they had out there that they would have found something, some speck of evidence leading them to some situation to explain what happened, that they did indeed wander off, got lost, and something horrible happened. I don't know. Like, you would think that somebody would have found something. And they did a video yesterday about how a neighbor has now turned over trail cam footage of the surrounding area. I guess a few people were contacted, so hopefully something shows up on that. Last weekend, about 100 ground search and rescue volunteers returned to the woods to take a closer look at specific areas around the road where the family's home is located. Searchers have said the slow, hard work of scanning the forest floor was made more difficult by thick layers of toppled, interlocking trees left strewn across the region by Hurricane Fiona in September 2022. That particular hurricane did a ton of damage here in Nova Scotia. As the latest search ended on Sunday, which was this past Sunday, so just a few days ago, police said the results would be carefully reviewed by investigators and search managers. Meanwhile, the children's disappearance has become a hot topic on social media, where speculation about their fate has become fodder for podcasts and commentaries. The RCMP did not respond to a request for comment on Thursday, which was yesterday. Today is Friday, May 23rd, 2025. I just don't, like, I don't know. It's so hard to think that two young kids can just up and vanish without a trace if they weren't abducted. I'm not saying they were, but it's crazy to think that they could wander in the woods and you wouldn't find anything leading to what happened to them. It seems like, and apparently it's not the case. I don't know. Police keep saying it's not the case, so you have to go by what they're saying. They would seemingly know best that they weren't abducted. But if they weren't abducted, where did they go? This is just my own personal opinion, but I have a hard time believing that a 4-year-old in just a diaper and boots would wander so far away from home without, like, getting cold and running back. Like, he's not, like, out there strutting around in his diaper with amazing weather. He's 4. He's gonna get cold. He's gonna go home quickly, I would think. I mean, I'm wrong, clearly. But that's just like what's in my head, that a 4-year-old, almost naked, is just wandering in the woods for however many hours, days. Like, there's no way. There is no way. And going into these thick, dense woods, he would have been, like, getting scratched and cut by trees and all kinds of stuff. You would suspect that he would just turn around and come home. I don't know. Maybe that's just wishful thinking, hopeful thinking on my behalf, but that's what I would think would have happened if a 4-year-old was just out wandering around in a diaper and was like, he's not going to go through these trees where he's getting cut up and, like, it's thick. I don't know. At the end of the day, though, when this is all over, and I hope it ends as soon as possible, with these children being found somehow safe and sound wherever they may be and are able to be returned home, I sure hope that that's the case, but I hope they do figure out what happened to Lilly and Jack Sullivan.